Eritrea, a small nation located in the Horn of Africa, is frequently characterized by the global community as the North Korea of Africa. It is a country that waged a grueling, decades-long battle to secure its independence, only to eventually find itself ensnared in a state of profound and agonizing digital isolation. Currently, this nation is recognized as one of the most technologically disconnected places on the planet, where it is estimated that a mere 1% of the entire population has ever utilized the internet. Within the capital city of Asmara, the atmosphere feels as if the advancements of the modern world have completely bypassed the region. You will see groups of individuals sitting together and engaging in conversation, not because of a refined sense of social etiquette, but because the vast majority of them possess no access to smartphones or cellular data networks. There are no bustling social media platforms here to get lost in, effectively severing the populace from the overwhelming noise and reach of modern global information. The economic reality is equally restrictive and harsh. Automated teller machines, ATMs, are non-existent. The very concept of retrieving currency from a machine is entirely foreign to the citizenry. Instead, residents must endure long queues at government-operated bank tellers to withdraw cash. This process is strictly governed by a rigid government-imposed ceiling, a maximum withdrawal of only 5,000 nakfa per individual each month, which equates to roughly $330. Consequently, even for citizens who have managed to amass significant savings, the ability to purchase an expensive item becomes a tedious, years-long endeavor of accumulating small monthly withdrawals. With the total absence of credit cards and modern digital banking infrastructure, the country's economy functions in a primitive cash-based cycle reminiscent of the 1950s. Life in Eritrea is characterized by an existence of forced, stark simplicity. The convenience of free Wi-Fi and the speed of 5G networks are virtually non-existent. Internet cafes are not only rare, but also operate with excruciatingly slow connection speeds. For the average Eritrean, the internet remains an unreachable luxury, with hourly rates hitting 100 nakfa, a price that is prohibitively high for a connection that might be slower than the movement of a sloth. Teenagers here grow up completely disconnected from the digital giants of Facebook, WhatsApp, or YouTube. They rely on traditional handwritten correspondence and landline telephones, effectively existing within a time capsule that has trapped them decades behind the rest of the world. Even the landscape of mass entertainment is severely curtailed. Most families have access to only one broadcast source, TV, a state-managed channel saturated with official government propaganda. Accessing satellite television is a rare occurrence that must be conducted in total secrecy, and foreign radio frequencies are frequently jammed by authorities to ensure that the outside world remains a distant, inaccessible concept behind heavy walls of censorship and systemic isolation. Beneath the veneer of Asmara's quiet streets lies a reality of deep, silent suffering. Widespread poverty is the norm, and the pathways to personal growth and success are nearly blocked for the average person. Residents fight daily to secure basic human necessities, such as clean drinking water, cooking fuel, and consistent electricity. Educational institutions are equally hindered. Children attend schools with limited textbooks and computer labs that sit idle, completely disconnected from the digital information age. Perhaps the most crushing burden on the shoulders of the Eritrean people is the state policy of indefinite military conscription. By official law, all citizens are expected to complete 18 months of national service, beginning at the age of 18. In harsh reality, however, this service is open-ended, frequently extending into years or even entire decades of forced duty. Youths are transferred to the remote Sawa military camp for their final year of high school, where their transition into adulthood is defined not by academic achievements, but by the sharp, terrifying sounds of live ammunition and the harsh commands of drill instructors. Once their basic training concludes, these young men and women are deployed according to the whims of the state. The majority are integrated into the army as low-ranking infantry, while others are diverted into mandatory civil labor projects, constructing roads, toiling on state-owned farms, or working in military-run factories and mining operations. The compensation is a mere pittance, rarely sufficient to cover basic daily sustenance, let alone provide for a family. High school graduates who may have once dreamed of pursuing careers as teachers, doctors, or engineers often find their ambitions crushed as they spend years holding rifles at the border or manually tilling soil at a military agricultural camp. There exists no transparent or standardized procedure for release from this service. The regime retains and releases individuals at its own discretion, resulting in countless middle-aged citizens still being forced to wear military uniforms or remain listed as reservists. The impact on personal life is catastrophic. Young men in their prime, between 20 and 30 years old, are trapped in barracks, effectively preventing them from marrying or starting families. Even those who do manage to marry are frequently forced into long-term separation, as partners are assigned to distant, conflicting regions. Human rights activists have accurately compared this system to a form of modern-day slavery. The consequences for those who attempt to bypass this fate are severe and unforgiving. Giffer raids, highly coordinated aggressive sweeps of neighborhoods and streets, are frequently executed to capture anyone suspected of dodging service. Individuals caught attempting to flee the country face the prospect of brutal confinement in military dungeons, while border security forces are legally authorized to shoot on sight anyone attempting to cross the frontier illegally. This oppressive environment has cultivated a profound sense of collective despair among the youth. They view themselves not as free individuals, but as state property, their futures funneled into a social laboratory designed to sever their bonds with families. By perpetually stoking fears of external threats and maintaining a state of emergency, the Afwerki regime ensures that the population remains in a constant state of readiness for a war that never truly reaches a conclusion. Unable to withstand a lifetime of forced servitude, military discipline, and lost potential, over 500,000 Eritreans have abandoned their homeland to live as refugees abroad. They undertake unimaginably dangerous treks across the vast Sahara Desert and attempt to cross the treacherous Mediterranean Sea, driven by a desperation so absolute that they would rather risk death than remain in a country that offers them no future. To grasp how Eritrea descended into its current state of isolation, one must examine its complex and often painful history. After existing as a colony until the conclusion of World War II, the territory fell under British administrative control before being forcibly federated with Ethiopia in 1952. Ethiopia ultimately annexed Eritrea in 1962, which ignited a fierce 30-year struggle for national independence. Following 3 decades of relentless conflict, unimaginable loss, and extreme sacrifice, Eritrea finally achieved its liberation in 1991, with independence officially formalized in 1993. The early years of this newfound sovereignty were filled with genuine optimism, yet the celebratory spirit was fleeting. In 1998, just 5 years post-independence, a border war with Ethiopia broke out, escalating into a 2-year conflict that resulted in tens of thousands of casualties. Although a ceasefire was eventually reached in 2000, the diplomatic relationship between the two nations remained deadlocked in a tense, no war, no peace standoff. This stalemate became the regime's convenient justification to prioritize national security over every other aspect of society, effectively sidelining democratic reforms and economic advancement. What began as a hopeful struggle for liberation has, through years of paranoia, rigid control, and authoritarian maneuvers, solidified into the isolated, impoverished, and deeply oppressive system that defines the nation of Eritrea to this very day.